Hey Stuart. Hey Peter. Hey Matt. Just got a notification on this that I can put people on timeout for a differing time. So how cool's that? Anyway, never put in. Oh well, I only put someone in timeout, and it wasn't me that actually did it, and it really was in jest, and they got offended. Anyway, Mark Osborne, good day. We're looking here at the clean part of the bench with zero focus. Kimber, g'day. If we draw back here, it's not a very big clean part of the bench, but we do have a clean part of the bench. So Australian Daylight Saving Time happened this week. I'm on top of it because I was in New South Wales on the weekend. Dan, g'day. Bill, g'day. New video out from Bill that I haven't had a chance to look at. I'm definitely going to go and have a look tonight. Why do you think that this is blurry? Just wipe the lens. Tea and biscuits, g'day. Let's see if some light helps. It probably does. Yep. Oh, what a weekend. What a week. Welcome to the crazy. That's where we're at with that. Seriously. No progress on the little engine at all. Nothing at all. Haven't done anything. Honestly, sorry about that. Haven't done anything. Work Saturday. Hey, James. Work Saturday. Saturday night I drove to Grafton. Yeah, what happened? Kevin, g'day. Drove to Grafton and stopped the night. Dan was still up, which is a bit unusual. Usually I just crash in bed, so we had a late night. Hi, Ross. Matt, g'day. We had a late night and then got up early in the morning because we had to shift some roofing iron and we were a bit concerned about snakes, and we only saw one snake. There's a video all about this and I'll get it uploaded at some point. I think I've got enough video. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I couldn't find the files when I tried to transfer them, so I'm going to have another look. Hopefully there's a video. There we go. Hopefully there's a video. Yeah, saw a snake. It was only a little fella. I don't even know whether it's a whip snake maybe or some sort of snake anyway. It might have been a juvenile or something a bit more dangerous, but I don't know. We got some witchetty grubs. Dan chickened out eating them, and I they were a bit sort of gravelly, so I didn't feel much like it either. So shifted all the roof and iron and sorted it into piles. What a job. There's a lot of roof and iron there. I guess what we draw from that is that we're building a shed. Or Dan's building a shed and we're all giving him a hand. I think that's how it works. I think witchetty grubs actually taste like peanuts. That's what I heard. But anyway, maybe I'm wrong. I remember eating one once in school and not thinking much of it years ago. Yeah, they sort of do. They taste, they're woody, nutty, sort of funny flavour. But the texture's not much. It's like the texture has a bit of a surprise to the end of it because their brains are a different texture to their bodies. And yeah, the texture is not very much like peanut butter really. But anyway. Had some of them. Managed to move the snake along. Don't know where he went. Hey, Paul. Ross is feeling funny. Anyway, he's got a weak stomach, obviously. Anyway, fixed all that. Shifted a heap of roofing iron. Got the boards back on the roller and they look fantastic. Hopefully got some video of that. We're not going to commit to the video thing because just thinking about it, I'm not sure if they downloaded or what, whether it got sidetracked or whether it never happened. Anyway, the only thing that tastes like chicken is chicken. Yeah, I don't know about that. So anyway, got all that done. Got someone when they bolted the headstock on the roller used a lot of extra long bolts because obviously that was all they could ever find, and they never ever chopped them off, and they stuck up about 3/4 inch above the nuts, and it looked a bit like a porcupine. So chopped them off. I don't think Vegemite comes from stolen babies, just so you know. Put that out there as a theory. Anyway, chop them off. Fix the hole in the tank. Did a fair bit on some. Well, between us, we did a little bit each on some 16mm scale live steam locos for the Shenandoah, the railway that's familiarly known as the Shenandoah's Rail Trail. Anyway, we had a fairly productive weekend, I guess. Feels like we did a lot. I shifted a heap of pulleys and sorted them out. We've got a stack load of pulleys, flat belt pulleys for line shafting and sorted accessories. So it's a matter of that's at some point it's going to go up on the wall, but I don't know when. And Canada flat belt pulleys, that's what we did, yes. It was a very productive couple of hours. Dan got caught on a barbed wire fence. And I was going to leave him there, but he managed to get himself free. Anyway, there's a video, I hope. Let's see how we go with that. Come home on Monday night. Went to work on Tuesday and Wednesday. Hence, there not being any actual small engine progress. Right about the VB. So, not much small engine progress, but we managed to. What's the opposite to extradited? Morning, Paul. Yeah, I don't know what the opposite is to removed or extracted or extradited, but that's what happened as far as our involvement with the pile of excrement. Hey, Frank. So we ended up more in the crap than we would have otherwise by the end of the week. Last night I went and saw a mate after work. Guy picked up this little Bay of Peacock engine off and had a bit of a yarn and probably shouldn't have. But anyway, that's what happened. He gave me this bag of bits. This is how to preserve the history of your engine. You put them in these little things here. This is a while ago because they're not digital pictures or anything, they're all film. 1996, this says that this was actually rescued. I can't read it inside this plastic folder. 1996 is nearly 40 years ago. Is that right? Nearly 30 years ago. Nearly 30 years. There we go. Sorry about that. Engine came from Yarranvale. John's writing hasn't got any less shaky in the last 30 years. 90 kilometres west of Charleville. That's about 800 kilometres west of here. Thought to have driven a steam wool press. So that's the little Bay of Peacock. There's some pictures. This is when it was rescued. Now, this is interesting, right? It's a little wall engine with a Scotch crank. I don't know how much of it's original and how much is otherwise and what it really did or what it actually fitted or where it went. I don't believe it was on the screw wool press to start with. I think that may have been a later modification because every screw wool press I've ever seen had basically a roller chain or a rope in a pulley, and you just pulled on it over a big pulley, and that's all you needed. That's the reason they were screw driven. But this one was obviously steam operated because there's some transmission bits. No idea about that. I don't think this was original equipment on the wool press. I don't think it was original equipment as a stationary engine. I don't really feel like this was probably ever a Bay of Peacock donkey pump. It's got exactly the same parts. Like all that top cylinder and the columns and the yoke and the flywheel, all those bits. Exactly the same because, and the reason I know that, hey John. The reason I know that is that I actually have a copy of a Bay of Peacock drawing now, or access to one, that shows all these pieces. Congratulations, John, on the steam running. Nice little engine. So I have drawings of most of these bits here, and they're all exactly the same. They measure up, they look the same, they are the same. What I don't know about is this plate on the bottom, because the drawings I have a single cylinder pump on the bottom which runs off this yoke and through a hole in this casting, and then they have a pump underneath. So it could be a slew engine for a crane, like a Bay of Peacock crane. I didn't think Bay of Peacock made anything except locomotives. I might be wrong, but that's what I sort of thought. I think they made recovery equipment as well. It could be a slew engine for a crane or a crane engine. It could be anything, but I've got the shake. Sorry, guys. But anyone who sees one of these on something, let me know. This is how it looked in the paddock. This is where it was basically sitting. Not a lot of information about that. The other two pictures are of the wool press, right? Remember when you were supposed to get your fingers on photographs? back in the day. Right, so there's a gear which works on the gear that's actually on the end of the crankshaft. Someone's obviously got a beer problem or an alcohol problem, because there's been a lot of drinking happening just around here, I would say, over the last 20 or 30 years before this picture was taken. Anyway, that's a bit of detective work. So that's got, have a look there, this gear is a helical pinion. This one here goes on the engine. This is a helical pinion, and what do we got here? There's a flywheel in the background. I don't know what that is. There's a wall press plate, which looks like any other wall press plate I've ever seen. And there's some other bits of the wall press in the background. There's a stone trough there. And there's a support girder and the other gear there. And the screw, which moves the plate up and down. Hey Russ Knox, saw you all over the internet this week. So that's a steam, like a screw wall press, and they were fairly common. And it had a gear like this up above the end of the screw, right? And this across the top. And then it had like a fastening plate on a wooden frame. And then at this end, there was that big square plate that went over the wall bale. And what happened was that this had a pulley on it, and you pulled the chain. No, the other shaft that stuck out with the pinion on it had a pulley on it. You pulled the chain. Probably it was this shaft here. Is that right? Yeah, this shaft here. Pulled the chain, and basically the weight of the plate and like a roller door, I guess, it all slid down and compressed the wool, so you could put a bit more in the wool pack, and it cost you less to ship it. So that's what that's about. And probably this engine was on it, because it looks like the matching gears on the end of the engine. Not that you can really see, but the matching gears there. So, and it's still on it now. That's all very well, but it doesn't answer any questions about this at all. I would say that this, probably by the stack of timber in there, in the background, and the rest of the bits all there, probably there was a wool shed here at some point, or probably it was pulled out and something a bit more modern was put in when everything was updated, when the wool was doing all right. So, don't know, but that's all I know about that. Oh, and there's this. I took a picture of this because if anyone thought this was a good idea when you were pulling the engine apart and you wanted to write down some important things, sorry guys, don't write all this on the back of an ice cream lid, because it doesn't last forever, and 40 years later it's all crumbly. Now, ER Peacock Manchester, right, which was written on the back of the cylinder cover, on the back of the valve cover. Now, there's missing the BEY on there to be ER Peacock, Bayer Peacock Manchester, I believe, because all the bits are Bayer Peacock. Hey Raymond. Now, 3.5 inch bore, 4 inch stroke, we know that. There's this number here, which was on it somewhere on the flywheel or the crankshaft or something, and it doesn't look like to be a casting number, so not really sure about that. We can have a bit more of a look and find that. This says 1856. Now, I don't think that was on it anywhere, but I'm not sure. Prezzo was a legend there. Absolutely can't refute that in any way. Glad you caught up. Looks like you had an awesome time. Anyway, Paul's got a confession to make. We'll have a minute silence while Paul makes his confession. Oh, Alex is... Yeah, okay. He's one of... Okay. Well, I think it's about right. And it's certainly, if it's a locomotive pump, it is about right, because they were completely... But it's not a locomotive. It's not a locomotive pump, I don't think. I don't know. I've got no idea. Alex Carnes. You know Alex Carnes as well as I do. Dances with Advix is right. Anyway, that's what we got. Don't know if any of it means anything. Really don't. Any of this stuff here. But now you know as much about this engine as I do. I've got some really, really bad drawings of the bottom end and some of the top end of this engine, which were 1890s, something like that, when the drawings were made. I'm really not convinced that that it's of this particular engine. He made some videos with Keith Appleton, that's right. He's an American guy. Alex is an American guy who does a lot with full-size steam. He's on Facebook, pretty decent guy. Owns a French portable, among other engines. Always having a bit of fun. He messes around with big engines too. Anyway. So, don't know any more about that engine, but it's getting to the point that we're probably going to start pulling it apart at some point. Clean it up. Want to get this little engine running first. So it'll probably never happen, I'm guessing. We can successfully procrastinate any work on this for indefinitely, because I'm not got a good track record with getting petrol engines running. So anyway, nice steam plant, John. Nice steam plant. I think you've done really well with that. Yarran Vale, I did check out. I'm not sure if it's even a station now, but it's 90 kilometres west of Charleville. Charleville's 700 and something kilometres due west of here. There's not much between here and Charleville, and there's not much when you get there. Anyway, that's that. What else happened last night? Oh yeah, something else happened last night. Dan can take the story. Oh, it's out in the... Yeah, and redheads and things, Bill. Yeah, I know, it's part of your thing. I didn't get drunk. I remained sober all weekend. Just for the record, let it be put that I remained sober. Hi, Nigel. Dan got drunk, and I don't know. I'm impressionable. That's what happened. Is Dan got drunk and I'm impressionable. And no one else was around to put the voice of reason on anything. Anyway, we decided to buy a portable steam engine. I was given the option to blame the drink, Dan. We decided to buy a portable steam engine. Now, I don't really have a picture of a Marshall 4 horsepower portable steam engine. I thought maybe I would have one here somewhere. Can't find a picture anywhere. And I didn't bring my telephone in, or I could show you some pictures on my phone. That's not really very good. A bit disorganised. But we've known for some time that there's been a 4 horsepower Marshall for sale. The pictures are on Discord, yeah. Here locally. And we've been keeping it on the down low because it's really it's a bit of a deal. And if anyone else thought it might have been there sort of for sale, I think it might have been gone. So we weren't seriously thinking about it as a project. Like, we never seriously think about anything as a project. But it seems like probably it'd be as good in our shed at that price, or in Dan's shed at that price, as in the current owner's shed. It's a 4 horsepower, yeah. 4 nominal horsepower Marshall single. Now, before you all say, well, haven't you already got one of those? Yeah. It's different. Does that hold water? Can we say that? It's different, yeah. The one Dan's got is a Colonial border, or Britannia, which has got a round border, a round smoke box. Sorry, a round firebox, which is a fairly nice little engine, but sort of only really export model. But this is traditional. Yeah, it's got a traditional firebox with like the powder roller sort of. Raymond, if you start admitting there's an elephant in the room, you've got to do something about it. So you just pretend it's not there. We don't know. We do need a shed to put it in before it even happens, right? So a gentleman's agreed to keep it for quite some time, most of it. So it could be February, March, April, May, June, July, August, something next year. Could be 12 months, probably be 6 months, because we've got to get the shed built first, and there's a fair bit of work in that, and a lot of weekends involved. And then it's in bits, yes. As Stuart so aptly put out, it's in bits. Like a big Meccano set. The boiler's completely disassembled, but it's all been rebuilt. All the plates that need doing just about have been done. There's still a little bit of wastage around the handholds in the outer wrapper on the firebox. They can be pad welded and certified as we go. Yeah, that's all the Discord pics. The inner firebox has got 3 new plates in it and all welded up and all certified. So it's got basically a new inner firebox. It's got a new barrel. It needs the tube plate in the front needs the centre cutting out of it and a new plate putting in it. I think it's probably the way that will work. Thanks, Peter. The foundation ring looks all right. All the rest of the plates look pretty jolly good. It's just a matter of lining up all the holes and putting rivets in them basically and drilling some more holes. And putting it together and then putting some wheels on it and then mounting the engine on top of it and yeah, so on and so forth. So it's a bit of work. It's basically a jigsaw puzzle, but it's all there, every single bit. The exceptions are a smoke box, which is just a bit of plate rolled up. And yeah, there's not a lot of other exceptions, to be honest. There's no chimney, I don't think. That's just a tin rolled up too. Apart from that, everything else is there. There's no ash pan that's any good. The one that's with it needs a little bit of work. Or it needs another one making. So it's all, yeah, Crafty Panda style hot glue gun. That sort of stuff. Yeah, 5-minute crafts. Anyway, the price was attractive. Put it that way. It was a good deal. And I think we could probably rivet the boiler up and get a certificate on it and triple our money. If it ever come to that, we needed to move it on for another project or whatever. But at this moment, it's probably going to be the 3 of us that'll go thirds in it. Depending on circumstances. And that way, owning a third of a portable is a really good thing because it means that there's enough drive at all times to actually make some progress on restoring it. And one thing I need is drive if I'm going to get any more hours out of the week. Anyway, that's on this week's episode of Guilty Confessions. That's what's happened. None of the expensive bits are missing. It needs, 260, 300 rivets and a few string lines and tape benches and rulers and things to put it together. Anyway. DIY the fucking heart, that's right. Anyway, that's I guess is the news. You can take that how you like. I've still got a roller to rebuild, so I've sort of got plenty to do. We've still got a shed to build, which is important. And at this point, we haven't really even scratched in the foundations, to be honest. We've shifted enough stuff that you can get a digger in to move the foundations, but at this point, that's about it. We've tidied up the yard around it, and we've given enough room to actually get something in and do a few little excavation jobs to facilitate a shed. We've got all the roofing iron, or nearly all the roofing iron for the iron for the walls anyway. And yeah, we've got some steel. If anyone's locally and it's got a lot of RHS and roofing iron and stuff and trusses and things for sale, hit us up. It's about 6 metres wide. Happy to come and collect stuff. Anyway, the shed's progressing, which is about time. And more shed is good, where it's going to have a kitchen in one end, which is really nice, like mess area. And basically club rooms. Not that there's actually a club. And it's going to have some sort of gantry in it. It's going to be drive right through, I think. And it's going to have enough room in it for a portable engine, or probably the front end or the back end of the roller. And it's going to be heavy enough slab that we can actually jack the roller up or whatever. There we go, 6 metres by 8 metres by 3 metres. Sounds awesome. Big job though. Anyway, that's what's happening. Well, it's going to be really nice. That's the trouble, Ross, is that we've got big toys. That's where the issue is. Another project, there's already a bar. Just so we know, Bill. Another project here, which is a sawmill shaft. This is... There's also a steam engine cylinder there. But this is sawmill shaft, spindle. This bit's finished, basically. The spindle's finished. It's all ready to go back in. Give me a second, I'm going to put you down. Here we go. This is something we're working on at the moment. This is a bit of a job. I really don't know where to go with this. I'd like to have someone with HBM, horizontal bore and mill to bore these. And the couple of people who've got one are impossible to motivate about love jobs and even about money jobs. And at the moment, I don't really want to spend any more money than I've got to. There's a gentleman here with an engineering works that I thought would be capable of doing it, and he's just left it in the shed for a couple of months and not even got to it, so that hasn't happened. And another guy that I was going to get to do it, or asked to do it, never had HBM when the opportunity was there, and he's a bit difficult to motivate too. You've got to be there and stand there while he does it. So these need boring out to 70mm, and they're about $67, something like that, roughly. A bit less that way. We're about 66 that way, up and down, and 67 that way. And there's two of them, but they've both got to go in this holder to be bored, because the other holder is part of the saw bench and weighs about 3 tonne, conservatively. So I've got these ready to set up in here. One of these is probably the wrong way around. We need to check all that. And they need facing and they need boring to match the shaft. And then you need to take the top off without disturbing any of this and put the other one in and bore the other one the same. And then we can put these back on the saw bench, and we put the shaft back in these, and we put the saw on the saw bench, and we put the pulleys back on and everything else, and we've got a working saw bench pretty much, except for a few other jobs like knives and feeding systems and things like that. But this is a job that it's weighing on me a bit, because I don't really have anyone who can machine 200 long and bore these rigidly. And successfully. Got a mate with a Bamford Bridgeport clone mill with a horizontal arbor on it, and he'll put a little boring head in that and run through it. But by the time you get the stick out to go right through, then you've probably got a taper or you've got chatter or something else, and I don't like that much. You could run a boring bar all the way through, and probably what we're going to do is set that up and make it long enough so that we can put a outrigger bush on the other end, like a block with a bush in it, and then we have a bar all the way through to with a boring bar on it, and then we can run this backwards and forwards along it. Hey, journeyman Roundy. Boring the millie is a problem, because I don't know anyone who's got a mill that's got, by the time you put a boring head or whatever in it, you're going to need, 300 mil travel. And that's a bit of a problem. Could do them on the compound slide of the lathe, on the cross slide of the lathe, with a between centers boring bar, and that's probably really good too if you've got a big machine with T-slots in the saddle, which I don't. Dad used to have, but yeah, I don't have access to that machine anymore, and it was in Tasmania anyway. So there must be out there a machine with more than centre height here is what we got. The centre height is probably about 83, 85 mil, something like that, from here to the bottom. So you need something with 160 mil swing. Cutting Edge Australia has one, and the worst case scenario is we'll go and see him, but sort of expect to pay the going rate with their guys like that. Other thing is that these two bearings weigh about 30 kilos. So moving them around the country is not going to be a problem. It's not going to be an option. So somewhere we'll get these done, and I really want to get them done. And it's a sort of a pressing job. It's the next major job on anything at Shannondale Steam Shed. I can set them up on my mate's Colchester, but that doesn't have T-slots, so we'd have to make some sort of a jig to carry them. Dan's Myford's not quite big enough, unfortunately. We already measured that. We did check the measurements on the Myford. Been there. The Lorch would very nearly do it, except that it doesn't have a movable cross slide. So it doesn't have a saddle that slides backwards and forwards, so that's not really an option either. Maddie's not real well. But Matty's mill is probably big enough. There will be people out there that can do it, but it's sort of a matter of going around the country to find someone. And we might do them on John's mill, but we're going to need some bits and pieces to make it work. And if we had a mill with an angle block and a 200mm stroke, I think that would be as good a way to do it as any, but generally very hard to keep things like that rigid on angle block. So that's the other thing, is you could leave this behind and you could set them up, solder them together and set them up in a 4-jaw chuck with a steady on the other end and bore them that way. That's something we could do. But getting them both on centre so they line up is sort of guess, mostly guess, and more guess than anything else. So, I mean, that's worst case scenario, is we could sweat these together with soft solder and run a couple of hose clips around them, set this end up in the 4-jaw, get it running true, set the other end up in the 4-jaw in the steady and get that running true. And bore them. It's all very well, but, and there's a big but, I don't think this is round, it's a bit elliptical. So setting them up in the steady is a problem. You've got to make a ring to go around the outside, or you've got to set them up on, it's not, there's no easy way. Anyway, that's just neither here or there. I'm guessing that worst case scenario, we're going to set them up in the 4-jaw and do them. I'm not sure I've got the skills I need for this. I don't know if any of my mates have got the skills I needed for this. Basically, it's a matter of setting the boring bar up on centre here. And running through the line bore. Line bore on horizontal, but to bore this way on a horizontal, you need a fairly big machine. I might end up soft soldering these together and then boring them out, if I can think of a way of getting them both on the same centre, because there's 2 of them. Have a look. There's another one. See? Now there were 2. So I've machined these, and they fit together probably pretty straight and even, how they should. But these are nowhere near in the centre for a start. Right? So setting it up in the steady is a bit tricky, because this is a different distance here to here. And this one here, I believe, is pretty much the same, because this is worn out. So this one needs what? Needs probably 3.5, 4mm out of it this way. And probably not as much that way. Probably only 2mm out of it that way. So just setting this up on this centre here, on the outside of the ring, isn't going to work because they're not going to clean up. Can't rebore them because the new shaft is 3mm bigger. Outside diameter on this is 105, something like that, roughly. $104 that way, probably 103 that way, something like that. This one here is 102 that way. And 105 the other way. You can't lap out 5mm, that's exactly right. We could hold it in the 4-jaw. I could do them here in the 4-jaw. I find a mate who could have a lathe that could do them in the 4-jaw. We nearly do them in the Myford in the 4-jaw with the steady. But these are difficult things to set up. Alright, what you've really got to do is set them up on the inside and get them running pretty nice. And then machine these outsides to match. And then set them up on the outside and get them running nice and build the inside. Bit of work. Even if you soft solder them together, there's still a fair bit of work in getting them right. And there's a bit of a technique to it because this hole isn't on centre of this. And this probably isn't critical, but if you're going to do it that way, you would soft solder them together so that they are nicely on centre. Sort of. Yeah, it's the right way around. If you soft soldered them so that they lined up nicely this way, pretty much in the middle, you can make plugs and you can set them up here on centres. You can machine these and then you could set them up in the 4-jaw and do them. So that's probably the best way. But what we don't know is that where this sits here on the block, here, in here, inside, whether that is actually the same this distance as this distance or anywhere else.